Welcome to the Live the Experience podcast. Hi, my name is Lenny and I'm your host. Welcome back to the show. On this episode, I'm talking to Sofie. Sofie decided to go to Brazil in her summer break to work for a startup. Her experience made her realize that she was following societal expectations for a long time, and then was finally time to just do what she wants to do. It's a story about becoming more self-aware and getting to know another side of yourself. I hope you enjoy her story and talk to you after the episode. Sofie, what were your plans before you went to Brazil to work in a startup?
So basically, before I went to Brazil, I was studying, or I am studying international business. And my plans were to get my bachelor's degree. After that, get a master's in whatever seemed interesting, and find a boyfriend, get married, get a house, get some kids, make sure that I have some capital and I have savings, and that I just do well in life, and that I have security, and basically just the basic picture that every parent wants to paint for their children.
A very
Just that
traditional one.
exactly very boring one.
So what changed then when you went to when you went to Brazil?
So I always said that I wanted to travel, and that I love traveling and experiencing new cultures, but I never really did it that much. I always traveled in Europe. I always traveled in the Western culture, so it was never really like a cultural experience for me. It was always just seeing new things. And then when the opportunity of Brazil came, an internship and a startup that fit my studies, I was like, you know what? It's time to finally own up to the words that I've always been saying, and actually take ownership over this, and to actually go abroad and have this cultural experience, and live this dream that I'm having. So it was really, I don't know, a way for me to finally live up to this dream that I always had, and also to just realize how easy it was to actually fulfill this dream and make it a reality. It always seems so distant to travel the world and to, have these crazy experiences that you always appear to be so jealous of. But when I saw the opportunity, I was like, okay, well, you're always saying it. The opportunity is there. If you don't take it now, the only person who you can blame is yourself. So, even though it was kind of defying my parents, I was still, it was completely in my own hands to finally live my dream. And I think that Brazil made me realize how easy it is to take ownership over your words and over your dreams, and how easy it actually is, to live the life that you want, because you just got to, do it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So what did your parents say to that?
please don't go to Brazil. They were all wondering why I had to go so far away, and why I had to. They were just wondering why. Why do you want to go to Brazil? And I didn't have a great answer to it. Besides, because I want to experience something different than what I know.
Now Brazil, super different country or super different culture to what you were used to in the Netherlands, right? How did you deal with cultural differences, both in your workplace and your host family?
Yeah, so it was pretty extreme to arrive in Brazil, and so I was staying at a host family, a mom, a dad, and their daughter who was about my age, and it was really, you arrive, and they're living in this quite small apartment. They have two dogs, and the food habits are completely different when you eat breakfast, and dinner is at 10 p.m. in the evening, and you're like, why would I don't want to eat then. But you had to adjust. So it was, I don't know, it was just, I don't know if I would say it was a struggle for me, because went in with a mindset of, okay, be flexible because you don't know what to expect. But it was definitely something that I had to learn to adapt to, sleeping in a small room. I've always been quite fortunate. So, suddenly sharing a room with another girl, living in quite a small house, not having a yard to play in and stuff like that. I don't know. It was just very, the host family was just very different family experience also.
Yeah, then to what you were used to, right? And then you worked in a startup in Porto Alegre. Did you also account to cultural differences in the workplace itself?
For sure. So, I mean, my first day at work was actually really chill, and because the World Cup was going on and Brazil was playing, so all work got stopped to watch the match. But I don't know, it was really interesting. Like, me being Dutch, we're known as quite a direct culture, and I never really considered myself as a too direct person. I always thought, oh, I can be kind of subtle. But then I arrived in Brazil, and I would like, just share my opinion or my view on things, and they're like, oh wow, it's very direct. Like you very honestly share what you think, and I'm like, yeah, like, am I not here to like give my opinion? Like, I'm sorry. But yeah, that was something that they at first, I mean, I guess I didn't know that that was already considered as direct. Like that never came into my mind that like sharing could be considered as like sharing too much and like being too open, being too direct maybe. And like these guys are, pretty young and they were really open, for our input. But I think that if I would have been like in a bit more of a conservative environment with less young people and more hierarchy, that could have definitely made me have a less popular impact.
So then what was your role in the startup? What did you do and what was your responsibility?
So my responsibility, I was in charge over research of internationalization. So basically, this was a software startup, and they were looking for business abroad. And they said we would like to expand to Canada or maybe the US or any other country that you would see fit. Please research this and find out, where opportunities lie. So the first few weeks, I did a lot of research, looking at what countries would possibly have benefits, and after that, I would reach out and talk to local consultants. So in the end, we decided that Canada would be a good location. And then I reached out to different locations in Canada, talked to consultants there, talked to people who would help with startups there, talked to governmental organizations, and basically lead all these meetings and put Kobe on the map for them, basically. So the startup was named Kobe. And so basically, I got to lead a bunch of meetings with consultants and figure out the path that the organization would have to go next. So also like write a bit of a strategy plan on, what are the next steps for Kobe to take? Where do we want the organization to go? I would give presentations on what kind of a startup Kobe is and what they would have to do. So also like my professional presentation skills were tested quite a lot, I would say. And that was my main task that I had responsibility over.
Were you surprised to have so much responsibility?
Yes. I was completely overwhelmed at first. So I had my first meeting set up with a consultant, and I was fully expecting my boss Fabio, who was like watching over me, to basically be there and do a lot of the talking. And then I prepared this presentation, and I was all ready for it. He was like, okay, Sophie, are you ready for it? I'm like, yeah. Do you need me to be there? I'm like, well, don't you want to be there? Like, are you gonna like let me do this alone? And he's like, yeah, I trust you. You should do it. Like, oh, okay. So from that point on, he like basically said, okay, just do your thing and go ahead. And he like watched from a distance, but he completely like let me have the meeting and gave me full trust basically, and just said, challenge yourself, go ahead and do it. So that was really, really cool of him to like allow basically a complete stranger to like represent his company in a different country and let me introduce Kobe to Canadians for the first time, basically. So that was really crazy.
You've been a student for almost like the past 3 4 years, right? How was it to start working all of the sudden and being in a corporate slash in entrepreneurial environment after spending so much time studying this topics in such depth and learning about management and all these things, entrepreneurship?
It was challenging at first, getting up every morning at the same time, catching the bus, which would not be regular in Brazil. So I had to make sure that I was early. And then, yeah, I don't know. It was very, I guess, difficult at first to like suddenly have to have this routine because, like, as a student in the Netherlands, I would have university like 3 or 4 times a week where I would like have to get up for it. So it wouldn't be super consistent or whatever. So suddenly having to have this discipline and like having this 9 to 5 thing, like knowing that you can't really do anything else in the day, knowing that you're just going to be in the office all the time at first was pretty confronting. But I guess what I soon realized was, the difference that it has with university is that um, my work was being put into something and it was being valued and it was being used, which at university I didn't have. I didn't have this fulfilling feeling of, okay, what I'm doing now is going to help something. It was just, doing my courses, and if I would write a report, it would get graded and thrown in the trash. And here it would be, I would write something and it would be read and we would move forward with it. And that's why like my 9 to 5 thing like wasn't an issue for me at all after I think a week or 2 weeks, because I realized that they really valued what I had and that I was working for a bigger goal, which was something that really like motivated and drive me. Like I realized that, okay, they actually need my help. Like I'm not just an intern, I'm a valuable employee. So yeah, I think that that really also, came forward with giving me the responsibility immediately to like lead these meetings. Um, so yeah, that was very, very interesting for me.
If we go to our four leadership qualities, the four qualities we are trying to develop in young people so that they can become responsible leaders through these cultural exchange. What do the four leadership qualities mean to you? So, being a world citizen, self awareness, empowering others, and being solution oriented.
The four leadership qualities, at first you look at them and you're like, okay, I don't know what it really means to be a world citizen, self-aware, solution-oriented, or empowering. Like they're just terms that were kind of shallow to me. But so when we start with the first one, like being a world citizen, I didn't know what it meant at first to, be actually like show interest in other cultures and other world issues, like trying to make the world a better place, basically. And, knowing that you have the ability to do so. So when I went to Brazil, this really became important to me. Like I realized that the politics there have an impact on everyone all around the world, and that you need to take responsibility in this and stay up to date in this, because even though sure it happens on the other side of the world, it's still very impacting for so many people. And I learned that turning away from it is kind of like it felt like it was a weak thing to do. So like the first thing I did was get a subscription on The Economist, um, to actually stay up to date with world news. And to this day, every morning I like read the Espresso News and make sure that I know what's going on everywhere, because it just made me understand their their views so much more. Knowing what was going on with their presidency and with their elections and all of that just made me realize why these Brazilians were so frustrated with their country and why they were so eager to leave. Um, And with self awareness, I mean, that went through the roof for me. When you are comparing yourself to, when you put yourself in a different culture, you realize how many things are different that you didn't even expect to be different. So, what I said earlier with the directness, I didn't expect, that I would actually be a direct person, but I didn't, compare it in the right way. I didn't understand it yet on how to compare it. So my self-awareness also like really took a change in perspective on how I should look at my self-awareness and how this differs with other cultures and how other cultures can make you realize things about yourself that you never even considered. And with solution orientedness, I mean, I it was, I don't think I was very solution oriented. But being in Brazil, like you got things thrown at you all the time, like schedules would change and I don't know, random stuff would happen and I don't know, it was very less planned than Europe is. So I feel like I became a lot better at having no expectations and just taking things for what they are.
Having no expectations is definitely, anyways, a huge strength, right? Not expecting anything in return. Um, then with the Brazilian startup culture, I can imagine being solution orientated is something extremely demanded.
Yeah, you have to learn. Because if you don't, you will be disappointed. It's just their culture is so different. Like the having no expectations is something that you have to have if you don't want to be disappointed every day. Because also in a startup, nothing ever goes as planned. Sometimes a deal will come through and sometimes it won't. But as a startup, always you need that capital. So like it's always living on the edge and always sometimes you would have a meeting plan with your boss but then he has different priorities because of course he has more jobs than just to manage you. So like you would just have to adapt and often like figure it out by yourself and just adjust to the situation really. And I think that this is something that I really, really, really learned very well in Brazil, and which became one of my core strengths to this day.
And then what about empowering others?
I didn't know how easy it was until I went to Brazil. I didn't think that my voice would ever like have a serious impact on anyone. I didn't think that I was a world changer. I didn't think that I had the ability to empower someone, because I was just this 20-year-old girl, not too much life experience. So I didn't understand what role I could play. And in the end, I had two very impacting conversations for me. One being with one of my colleagues, and he ended up actually getting a passport. And I'm not saying that the conversation between me and him was like the sole reason that he got a passport, but I know that because of the conversations that we had, that it was a big influence on driving him to actually take the action steps. And we actually made a plan together on him, and he like sent me his checklist on him getting his passport and like the steps he had to take to actually get it. And the same for my boss, who decided to take the responsibility of giving back to the community. So he's working on starting an NGO actually for Brazil. And I know that also the conversations that we had, motivated him in that. And he was looking for my opinions in that and my views on that. And I think that, I don't know, you don't realize how much you impact people and how much they are willing to listen to you if you just like are willing to sit down and listen to talk with them. So yeah, it became very,
Hmm.
I don't know, it like sort of enlightened me in that way that I didn't know how far my voice could reach. Even, if it's just one single person, it doesn't matter. You don't have to influence the hundreds by the time. But if you just know that you can help someone forward, that's for me what empowering someone is. If you can help them get a bit closer to what their dreams are, then you're already empowering. And I didn't realize how easy that was. I never thought that that would be so in my ability. That was like a far dream that I would hope to like reach somewhere in my 50s, not when I was 20. So yeah.
Looking back at your whole experience, taking into account your professional development, but also your personal development, what we just talked about, what did you take back to the Netherlands into your daily life?
I think Brazil changed me in general. Like it made me someone who really now looks to chase her dreams. At first, I didn't try to chase my dreams. I wasn't even really allowed to dream, I felt like. And now I became this person who does what she says that she's gonna do. If I take ownership over my words, and in general, I became so much more adaptable to the situations around me. I don't stress as much anymore. Of course, I get nervous for things sometimes, but in general, I don't. I learned how to just let go and adapt. So I became a lot more flexible. Um, I don't know. I just feel like Brazil made me realize that I can be the person who I want to be, and that I don't need to fit these social constructs that like parents and society gives you. I can fit my own and I can create my own. And that's what I really started doing since Brazil. It made me a lot happier, basically.
Yeah. Wow, this impact on you is really something it gives me goosebumps right now. And it makes me realize again, and I hope everyone who listens to that also can realize how such a, on the one hand, short 8 weeks, on the other hand, very long 8 weeks, can have an impact on yourself and change your aspirations for life. And yeah, just figuring out what you really want to do and having this experience of living your dreams and not only leaving it as a dream but actually trying to achieve it, right, making it into reality. That's a beautiful development, and extremely happy that you were able to take this back to the Netherlands into your daily life, and now you're in Singapore doing your exchange, but still you trying to use it in everyday life, right? Go and explore countries around you and just living it every day.
For sure. 6 new countries on my list in just 4 months, which is something to be very, very grateful
I'm
for.
jealous.
I mean, I think a lot of people are, but in the end, it's not about the location, it's about the people that you meet. And that's also, I've been to one of the most beautiful places on earth because Brazil is absolutely stunning. But in the end, it could have been rainy weather every single day, and my experience still would have been as great. And that's because of the people that I met. And that's also something that I've carried with me every day since. It's about the people you meet, not the locations you go.
Beautiful, Sophie. Thank you so much for taking the time, although we have such a big time difference. um, I love your story, and I hope it can be an inspiration to others to find out what such an experience could look like for them and how it could be for them. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the whole episode. I hope you were able to take something out of it. If you're curious what an Isaac experience could look like for you, make sure to contact your local Isaac office or just sign up on isaac.org and let them get in touch with you. As always, if you have any questions or if you want to share some feedback with me or other thoughts, make sure to get in contact with me. As always, you can find all links in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please rate it and share it with your friends and family. That would mean a lot to me. Until then, have a great day and talk to you next episode.